Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, collectors of all ages, welcome back to AussieVerse. I am OmniBeau, joined as always by Grodd Watson and Sharif. And you might see down in the corner a brand new face on your screens. Who is he? What's he doing here? You're about to find out. Scott Henderson, cosplay creator extraordinaire. How are you, sir?
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Thank you very much for joining us. We owe it all to Grodd Watson for going out there and finding you, sir. So thank you very much, Grodd, for making this show possible.
Well, I thought I'd put the feelers out, and I was interested to do a little bit of interview and get into the mind of a cosplayer, because it's something that's always very intriguing when you go to cons, cosplay. And I think it's almost one of the most delights going to a Comic-Con is seeing the amount of people dressed up and that. It's kind of enjoyable. So I was great for you to join us, Scott, and we really appreciate it. And we appreciate picking your brain tonight.
Of course. Go for it with what's there, really.
Oh, well, my first question is going to be, what got you into cosplay? Like, what inspired you, and how did this all begin?
Well, I've always been a comic guy, right from when I was a little kid. Most people grew out of it when they were about 8. I'm now 50 odd and still going, really. It was, I discovered a comic shop in about late 80s, early 90s, really. And I've been going to King's Comx for now 30 years. And it's funny, a couple of weeks ago, I was at King's Comx, and they've got the security gates on the door. And I walked past and it beeped, and there was a security guy there, and he said, "Oh, mate, I'm going to have to look at your bag." And the owner of King's Comx goes, "Look, if Scott's waited 30 years to start stealing from me, I'm very happy for him to steal. Please don't look at his bag." And so I was, reading comics ever since I was a little kid. We used to get those terrible black and white reprints in Australia, and it wasn't until I discovered comic shops that I discovered actual American comics, and been reading since since sort of the 80s, and then discovered cons. And when we started to get them here, I saw people, doing cosplay and just loved it. Got photos with them, and then suddenly decided that they looked like they were having so much fun that I just needed to do that. So, trying to round up some friends to do it with, and everyone starts somewhere. And, the first couple were a couple of cosplays. Well, a little bit basic, but still a lot of fun. And, most people who cosplay are like, 20 years old, and, I went to school with their dads, really. So, I just do it because I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Meet a lot of pretty cool people, and just because I have passion for the characters.
Do you remember what the first character you got made?
First character, yeah, I did. First character I cosplayed was Jay Garrick from the Flash. You know how they had the Hunter Zolomon Jay Garrick, and he was the sepia tone World War II jacket and hat, and which was a pretty good one to start with. Why? Because it was kind of a jacket and a hat and some gloves. There were no masks, no capes, no spandex, just boots and pants. And so it was a nice one to kind of lead me into it, really. And it's funny because when I built it, I didn't know that he turned out to be the bad guy in the Flash. I was wearing it at a con, and this guy just walks by, "Jay Garrick, you bastard!" I didn't know I was the bad guy when I built it. So it was quite a good one to start with, really, and then quickly moved into Kid Flash, Wally West, and a lot of speedsters under the bridge since then. So
yeah, cool. Do you make most of them, or is it mainly purchase half of them, or?
A lot of every cosplay is different, really. Sometimes I've got friends who 3D print stuff. I can't sew, so I know people who can sew. I get bits and pieces made. You repurpose things. You buy stuff, cut it up, re-glue it, repaint it. There's all sorts. I mean, every cosplay is completely different. And that's kind of part of the interest, really. You start with the character, and then you think, how in the world am I going to do this? And then I mean, it's like I've got a long shot cosplay coming up, and so I needed a leather one-piece jumpsuit. Found myself shopping at a fetish store for a leather one-piece jumpsuit, and the guy's like, "So do you want the zipper to go all the way around to the back?" And I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't really need that at all, please. Just the jumpsuit will be fine." A mullet wig and some leather work later, and there'll be Longshot turning up at a con very, very soon.
Man, I've never thought about the way Longshot is dressed, and that is probably the greatest thing that I've heard all day today.
Well, getting the belts built, that was the challenge for Longshot, and so I got a guy who does. He made a lot of the Mandalorian belts and things, so I just gave him the pattern for Longshot. And so they made the belt and the utility belt and the bandolier and the man bag that Longshot has, and he did a really good job. I mean, it took a little bit of feedback to get it right, but he absolutely nailed it. And the moment you put it on, you realize how completely impractical it is to wear. Just falls off and slips over every time you take a step. You're constantly pulling stuff back up. So how Longshot's doing acrobatics and flips wearing this stuff, I have no idea.
It's all pinned down.
Well, and it's interesting because a lot of the time I do that. With cosplays, you end up wearing it, and then you end up sewing Velcro in order to keep bits in place. And I did a Mirror Master where there's just kind of that kind of neck piece thing, and I just had it draped over the shoulders, but didn't realize after you move it just fall to one side, and constantly, and so I've got that coming up, and I've put Velcro on the shoulders so I can stick it down so it should sit. So every time you wear it, you kind of work it out a little bit better for the next time. And then once I find I actually perfect the cosplay, I go, that's brilliant. I wear it once, get bored, and then start working on the next one because I've done that. There's no need to really do it again. So
what happens with the outfits that you don't feel like wearing again? Is it just gonna be stored somewhere?
Well, I was going to donate them to charity, which I thought would be really interesting, seeing a whole bunch of homeless people dressed as the Flash. I thought that that would be pretty awesome.
Please do.
But
I'll take the Captain Cold one off you.
Well, it's sitting there. Well, what I've done is I've just got big storage bins now in the garage, and I've just been stacking them all in there. The wife has had a chat to me about taking over the whole garage with 200 and so I've just been stacking them up, and I've got about 10 really big storage things just stacked one on top of each other that labels on what there is. So I'll end up throwing them away, no doubt. And some of it I'm just going to give away to people, I've got if anyone's watching this and is going to be at Sydney Supernova and they want a free red hood helmet, just let me know, and I'll pass it over because, I'm never going to, never going to use it. I mean, what are things you learn?
Went, oh my God, I wish we lived in Sydney.
One of the things you have to learn when you do cosplay is that you've always got to have a plan B. All right, you've always got to have a plan B because stuff never works. And we did a Bat Family cosplay because the year before I did the family as we did 90s X Factor. Because I've always wanted to do the Havoc, the Jim Lee with the jacket and that Legion headband, like a bit like the Gambit thing, and I always wanted to do that. And so I got Kimbo to do Polaris, and I got Zachy, my son, to do Madrix the Multiple Man. which I thought Madrix was pretty cool, right? And my 14-year-old came to me and he said, "Dad, Madrix is not cool." And he said, "If you want me to do this next year, I need to be Red Hood." And I went, "Okay, there you go. You'll be Red Hood." And we worked the rest of the family cosplay back from there. But with that, I actually bought a helmet. And it didn't look like it was going to arrive in time. So I panicked and bought another helmet and thought one will arrive in time. And then I had two, of course.
Was the Bat Family one, was that Sydney Supernova?
Yes. Yeah.
I was there.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. I went there purely because Michael Bean was there. So I travelled to Sydney because he wasn't going to go to Melbourne.
Yeah.
To see Michael Bean.
Man, Aliens. It's funny. I got my son to watch Aliens. Man, that has aged so well. I mean, you look at it.
It's still a good movie.
Just as good now as it was then. Except for when you see Michael Bean and you go, "Wow, he's old, isn't he?" Or Lance Hendrickson, you see him and my goodness, he looks old.
He's not aged well.
But then he was a fair age when Aliens was out. So, you know, it's pretty cool. Michael Bean was in the original Terminator, of course, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
So we did the Bat Family there, and my wife's a redhead, so that's where I often start a lot of cosplays with.
Redheads are perfect
for
cosplay.
I know. It's funny, whenever I build a cosplay, I always start with one thing and then build it out from there. We did a San Diego Comic-Con, and we just started with one of my mates. Big George looks a little bit like Hawkeye. All right. And so I went, okay, well, he's going to be Hawkeye. All right. So that's where we start. And my mate Midge, he's a bigger guy. So what kind of suits can he, a Captain America suit? All right. That'll work. And then I do speedsters. So there was going to be Quicksilver, and that was your cosplay. And we just built it out from one thing, that Big George looks a bit like Jeremy Renner. Right. That's a good start. We'll work from there. And then I just build everyone's cosplays. So.
Sweet. What do you reckon was your favourite con that you have gone to cosplay, or just in general meeting people?
San Diego is just amazing. I mean, if I will go back at one point. It's just too hard. Sometimes you can't even get tickets. I tried to get tickets this year and couldn't get it. But San Diego is just amazing. The whole town turns into Comic-Con, and every bar turns into Comic-Con, and the amount of cosplayers there and the floor, it's just incredible. I bought, there's a big, just in front of us is a big the cover art from Titans 11 with Brett Booth and Norm Rapmond, that's got two Wally Wests on it, Kid Flash and the Flash and Deathstroke in the middle. I went and just bought that there, and sketches and things. It's funny, I went and bought it. Norm Rapmond was selling the cover art, and I went, look, I obviously have to have this. I have to own this, and I said, how much? And he said $2,000 US, and I went, done. And then
with no second thoughts.
No, and my mate Mitch, I'm a psychologist for a living, right? So I teach people negotiation skills, and I teach people and my mate Mitch is, don't you teach negotiation skills for a living? And I'm like, yeah.
Just wanted it that bad.
It was going to happen. And I got it home and I showed my wife, and she said, wow, that's amazing. I'm not going to ask how much that cost. And I said, no, you're not. And our marriage will continue. And she knew enough to not ask from that. So, that was very cool. But San Diego is just so amazing. I turned up and everyone's so nice. And who thought all my 30-odd years of reading comics would suddenly be cool? I just turn up in bars and suddenly I am their king. I didn't know it's going to be the case, really, and it's just incredible, just chatting to people. And there's a YouTuber, Ben Pace. He does a YouTube clip where he interviews cosplayers, and we saw him at San Diego. We'd watched him for a while. He's filming. So we didn't go up and talk to him. And then we're in a bar afterwards, and he was there, and just walked up and introduced myself. And, he's the nicest guy ever. And I bought him a beer, and he came over and drank the beer with us. And I thought he was just going to leave because, he's a pretty popular guy in San Diego.
Yeah.
And he stayed to finish the round of beers with us. And he goes, look, I'm not a hot chick. I'm not going to drink your beer and then piss off. And the one thing I've learned is if an Australian buys you a beer, you buy the whole round back again. And sat there and drank 4 beers with us, which was just really, really cool. So,
Sweet. Which leads me into my next question, like what type of friendship and groups that you've met along the way would be massive. I mean, even just in a short time we've done this YouTube thing, we've made friends upon friends upon friends. But yeah, I would say the cosplay would be exactly the same, because I see you meeting other people, tagging them on Instagram as well and stuff like that. How amazing is it to meet all these lovely people that have the same passion as you?
It's incredible. I mean, the cosplay community is so supportive. I mean, this is one of the things my wife noticed, that because, she was, not particularly comfortable doing it, and she didn't have a passion for it. And she said she went along and people were just so nice and so supportive and so helpful. And she said, look, she was just unprepared for how nice people would be. And yeah, I just met people, and you kind of see them again and again, and you get to chat to them a little bit more, and you eventually get to know them. And yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, as I said, I just will sometimes do. I mean, there's a guy named Terry who does Heatwave. He did a Heatwave cosplay, and I saw him do it at 3 cons. And so I just contacted him through Instagram, and I said, all right, I've seen you do Heatwave a couple of times. You need a Captain Cold. I'm going to build a Captain Cold cosplay, and I will meet you at Sydney Supernova, and we'll do Heatwave and Captain Cold. And he just went, oh my God, that's amazing, and then he ended up coming to New York Comic Con with us, and stuff like that, because, he just did it because I saw a gap. There's another guy up in Brisbane, Michael, who does a lot of Green Lantern stuff. And he said, oh, have you ever done a Green Lantern? I said, yeah, I've done Alan Scott. I've done Guy Gardner. And he said, no, but I mean a Flash Green Lantern. I went, what, the Blue Lantern Flash? And he said, yeah. Oh, there we go. There's a Alan Scott. And I said, a Blue Lantern Flash. And I said, well, I've never done that. But yeah, there we go. And I went, okay, right, I'm building a Blue Lantern Flash. Matter of fact, just today, I got the Blue Lantern Flash ring.
Sweet.
So I'm now building a Blue Lantern Flash. Oh, that's a great shot from Big George. He got it on the 3rd jump, which is good because my knees are stuffed. I don't think I had too many more jumps in me to do that. And so yeah, just someone said he had a Blue Lantern Guy Gardner that he wanted to do, and he wanted a Blue Lantern Flash. So I said, I'll build it and I'll meet you up there. So yeah, there we go. That's I love the Wally West, the Rebirth Wally West suit is one of my favorite suits. So yeah, so yeah, there we go. There's a Blue Beetle.
Yeah, one of my favorites there.
Look, I've actually done the classic Blue Beetle and Booster Gold where they're doing the run.
Yeah.
Running away. I filmed myself with myself. Just to recreate that one thing. I haven't actually posted it yet, but I don't know if you're going to be able to see. Maybe not.
We do this.
So that's the comic book art, and then I've done it with myself. You can't really see it. Maybe I should send it to you. But
feel free. We can chuck it up.
But
once you put it up, boy, you've got Scott's.
That is a good time to bring it in. That if you want to go check out Scott on Instagram, you can at Sconderson. Go check that out.
Definitely.
So what was your?
I'll work it out later, but that's okay. So look, met lots of really interesting people, and as I said, people are so nice, and when I do cosplay, I tend to not really just post photos of myself. I'm there for other people, and I always like to get shots with other people, and I love the passion that people put into it, and especially if it's just a little bit unusual. I mean, I love someone who does a great Batman, but then I love someone more that does 1980s Dazzler on roller skates or something, or just something that's just a little bit more unusual and
a bit outside the box sort of thing. It's not the usual. Oh, I'll just dress up as Batman and.
I get so excited. It's like I did a character called Max Mercury. Now, unless you're a Flash fan in the 90s,
the Zen Master speak.
There you go. All right. So I did Max Mercury, knowing that me and 3 other people will get and I did it, Sheriff, just because it was awesome. And I freaking nailed it too. And I just spent the whole day people going, "You look great. Who are you?" But it was just because I just wanted to do it. And sometimes I do a cosplay because I've never seen someone do it, and I've always wanted to see a cosplay of that character. And I figure, well, if no one else is going to do Mirror Master, I suppose it has to be me, really. So
it's a good pick, that one too, Mirror Master. Obviously, you've seen my Instagram. That's my photo on Instagram. So, what's the one cosplay that you haven't perfected yet? The one that it's gotten away from you that you want to do, but you just haven't got around to yet?
I don't know. I mean, I'm always working on a whole bunch of them, really. And I guess I'm now at that stage that, I've done a lot of the cosplays. I mean, I must have done 50 cosplays. So I've done so many of the characters that I wanted to do. Now I'm kind of running out of speedsters. I'm kind of this close to painting myself blue and going as Sonic the Hedgehog, really. So I mean, you know that I'm out of ideas when you see me as Sonic the Hedgehog. So now I'm kind of going back and doing the cosplays that I did, but kind of wanted to do a little bit differently, a bit better. That Kid Flash you showed up there. I did a Kid Flash years ago, which was the CW Kid Flash, but always wanted to do kind of a comic book Kid Flash. And so went back and wanted to do that one. And yeah, I was really happy with how it came out.
The funny thing you mentioned, Sonic's got big feet. Impulse has big feet.
I've done Impulse. I've done 2 Impulses. Actually,
together with the big hair.
It's all about the hair. Impulse is all about the hair. So I did comic book Impulse, or kind of Young Justice Impulse, and then I did a version of the CW Impulse, which is just giant hair, really. And that was good, but I don't know if I'm ever going to wear that one again. I couldn't bend over. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't. It was an interesting cosplay, but it worked. So sure, if that the same con, I did Max Mercury on the Saturday and Impulse on the Sunday. So if only we could have got a crossover, it would have worked nicely. But
yeah. Have you tracked down a Godspeed one yet? Have you done Godspeed?
I have done a Godspeed. Yeah.
You have? Wow.
Godspeed. Okay. Yeah. Godspeed was all about the helmet. Because I didn't like the mask on the show. And so I got a whole foam helmet built that I wasn't going to do it until I got the helmet right. And once I got the helmet right, I decided that, then I'd do Godspeed. So yeah, the leather, it kind of wrinkled a little bit, but
Godspeed with the helmet, it just gives me Power Rangers vibes.
Yeah, well, I've had my photo taken with several Power Rangers over the years, and some of them very cool too. So yeah, look, I think I think I've done, except for maybe Johnny Quick, I think I've done pretty much as many speedsters as I can think of. I've got a new Quicksilver that I'm working on that I'll be doing in Melbourne, actually. So I'm bringing that down to Melbourne. So just finishing touches on that one.
So is it mainly speedsters that is your passion? Because obviously you've Quicksilver for the Marvel sort of universe. There's a bit of a trend here, or for you personally.
Yeah, I started, I mean, obviously the Wally West thing, and that's where the speedsters came from, and I did a lot of that. But then, I've covered a lot of the JSA. I've covered quite a lot of the JLI. As you see, I've done Booster, Beetle, Wally, Guy Gardner. So yeah, I've worked my way through the JLI, and then for JSA, I've done Flash, Green Lantern, Sylvester Pemberton, Hourman. I've got a Wildcat that I'm just about to do as well.
I got to look up Sylvester Pemberton.
Oh yeah. That one was about the staff. It was about the staff. It's a funny story.
So is it Starman?
Yeah, Starman. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So I failed to realize having an 8.5-foot staff would be quite challenging to move around at a con. First time I took it, it got broken. I mean, the one bit of advice I can give to any cosplayer is the first time you wear it, it will break, it will fall apart, it will not work the first time, and you'll be having to repair it before you put it down. But yeah, on that one, when I did Sylvester Pemberton, a mate of mine, Dan, he's a friend of mine, started coming to cons, and his girlfriend was just always standing at the side, holding the stuff, looking a bit awkward. And so I felt sorry for her just standing there. So I contacted her and I said, look, you're small and blonde. You're going to be Stargirl. All right. You're going to be Stargirl. And in a way that's not weird in any way, please send me your measurements and your address, your home address. All right, in not a weird, creepy way at all. And I'll send a Stargirl outfit to your house. I'll do Starman, basically your dad, and we'll turn up to a con. And which was great. She looked fantastic. The only challenge was they broke up 2 weeks before the con. And I'm like, oh no, what do I do? And she still came, and she was a fantastic sport, and she looked amazing, and we had a really good day. So it was the first time she'd ever cosplayed, and or one of the first times she'd ever cosplayed, and I think she had a pretty good time. So, but yeah.
So would you say your family would be the largest group that you've done a cosplay outing in, or is there a larger group that you've been with? What's the largest group that you've been with?
Obviously been involved in lots of large groups, but like I haven't organized every suit for the large groups. I think the biggest one, we did a family Avengers going back quite a way. My nephew at the time, Bryce, came to me and he said, Uncle Scott, I said, what do you want for your birthday? And he goes, I want to be Iron Man. And I went, oh, that's I can do a speedster suit. A suit of armor is a little more than. So we had to get him to be Iron Man, and so we got him to be Iron Man, and Kimbo being a redhead, so she was Black Widow, and Zaki at the time he cosplayed the year before as Owen from Jurassic World, and so I said because he liked Chris Pratt, then he came as Star-Lord. And then it was just my other nephew, and I went, all right, you're going to be Hawkeye, really? And then I was Quicksilver, and so we did the whole family Avengers, and so I think that was the biggest one that I organized. So it was about 5 different suits that we organized there. So so that was quite a lot of fun.
And the logistics of it.
yeah, it was. So and then but a lot of these, for example, that Kid Flash, there were some people up at Brisbane who were doing a Titans shoot, and so that's why I took the Kid Flash along. for that Titan shoot. So we've got some really, really cool photos there as well. So they had like a professional photographer that was doing all of these things, and Michael did Nightwing, and we had a couple of Ravens and a Starfire, and yeah, that's cool.
Awesome. So what's next, do you reckon? Soon?
What's
or things you're working on and cons you're working on?
Yeah, as I said, I've got probably about 5 or 6 cosplays that I'm kind of working on now. I think I've got about 3 or 4 that are ready to go, and a few others that I'm just kind of messing around with. So there's one that I was just doing a test on the weekend. Once again, I don't even know if you'll be able to see this, but the Wally West cowl there that's in the garage, me doing a test with some 3D printed earwings and stuff like that. So one of the things I found is with cosplay, good mask, average suit, good cosplay. Yeah. Great suit, crap mask, crap cosplay. Is, as I said, Godspeed, it wasn't until I got the helmet. So I start with that. Once I'm happy with that, then I'll build out the rest of the stuff, really.
Yeah, the rest can take care of itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you say you still read comics?
There's a stack of comics behind me there, and this is my to read pile that I haven't actually got to just yet. So I guess the short answer
looks just about right.
Yeah, I know. Well, since I stopped traveling quite so much and stopped flying so much for my job, the to read pile has kind of gotten a bit bigger. So I need to book a few more gigs in Perth, and that way I get to chip through the to read pile a little bit more. So yeah, no, still. So the Flash is awesome at the moment. If you're not reading the Jeremy Adams is doing such a good job, right?
That 1 Minute War has been great, actually. I reckon I really enjoyed that. So, and it's coming out bi-monthly, so every 2 weeks, and loving the fact that it's double shipping. So yeah.
But even leading up to that, it's been really good too. But I like he's brought the whole Flash family in there as well, which has really been a lot of fun. The art's been pretty good. The writing's been good. I mean, the thing I love is that Wally West is not a tragic character. Wally West is a character who loves what he does. You know,
he's a good dad. Good
ultimate wish fulfillment. You know, he's a daggy dad that tells bad dad jokes. And I grew up with Wally West, right? You know, when I was 20, he was 20, and he was an absolute jerk and a rather woman obsessed, guy, 20-year-old, and somehow that spoke to me. And then he's got older, and he's got kids, and he's a dad. You know, Wally's my man. He grew up. I grew up reading him in Teen Titans, and now he's the Flash.
Did you read that issue where the wrestling one, where he meets that cosmic wrestler?
That was
such a good issue.
That was so much fun.
Yeah. I'll have to give you that to read, Bo. You'll love it. It's a wrestling one. Yeah, fantastic.
But just even in that, I suppose we don't go down that rabbit hole. But just in that, you know, it's just Wally. He was just like, all right, this is where I am. I'm having fun with this, right? You know, and
I'm going to help the wrestler. Yeah,
I know.
Help him take down the champion. Yeah.
I've never read Wally as the Flash, so that's why I've got like 3 omnibuses there. That I think because of Sharif, he's told me to go buy them. This is the best Flash. This is the best Flash. So I've got a lot of Flash to read, but I can't wait because to me it's Barry Allen.
Bite your tongue, my friend. All right. I mean, start with the Mark Waid, Wally West Flashes. Culminating in maybe the return of Barry Allen, which I think was one of the greatest Flash stories ever.
I really dug the New 52. I read like the first trade or 2 of that, and I loved how they upped his powers with the he could see any sort of outcome. That was and the art in that series was amazing. So that's definitely one Flash omnibus I need to get.
Yeah, I was going to say I like the art, but I just find Barry boring. I do. You know,
it's your own, even if your opinion's wrong. That's fine.
But, I mean, look, as I said, growing up as a kid, the old Carmen Infantino comics with the suit coming out of the ring and stuff like that, and back then Barry was married, and it just kind of blew my mind as a kid, and Iris knew he was the Flash, and this was stuff that just didn't occur to me. It was the whole Superman Lois Lane thing, and there's this guy, and he's just married guy that does what it. And the thing I actually didn't like about Barry in the New 52 is they made him a tragic character with Zoom killing his mum and things like that. I always liked it that Barry was the Flash because he was about science, and it was about just doing the right thing. That he was the Flash because he could be, and he needed to be. He wasn't, avenging some wrong or punishing evildoers or something. He was just doing it. It's the whole Barry Allen that, they have the supervillain battle, and Barry stays around afterwards to rebuild everyone's houses afterwards at super speed because, he believes in cleaning up after himself, so there was, look, I do like Barry, but Wally's always going to be the man. So.
No, that was a great explanation, actually. I'm impressed with that.
Yeah. Well, and Wally's the ultimate wish fulfillment, right? That he loved the Flash, and he got to hang out with the Flash, and then he got struck by lightning and got to be the Flash's sidekick. That's the ultimate wish fulfillment, right?
Yeah.
It's a perfect legacy character, isn't it?
Yeah. In that Mark Waid run, there's that one where Wally ends up going back in time and meeting himself as a kid. And his parents are going through a divorce, and he's really worried. And he just says, look, all of your wishes are going to come true. Everything you want, and it's all going to be good, and it's all going to be okay. And young Wally didn't know who older Wally was. He thought it was some weird uncle. And that's that Barry Allen thing that he tells Wally, every second is a gift. That's why they do it. So it's kind of cool.
Wow, that's like some intense hypnotherapy.
In a sense, too, Barry's the best teacher out of all the legacy. Batman's not a good teacher.
Yeah.
Superman's okay, but he's too Boy Scoutish. Where Barry's,
yeah, absolutely. And this was the whole thing that Barry taught Wally, and he was always preparing him. And then when Barry died in Crisis, Wally didn't necessarily want to be the Flash, but he was the person that became the Flash out of just love and respect for his uncle, and he just had to be the Flash, and because he just needed to honor someone who was so important. And that Wally, with Iris and Barry were, because Wally's parents were rubbish parents, right? Iris was the one who Wally always looked up to, and then of course looked up to the Flash, and is like the first person to become a hero because of love and honor, and I always thought that was kind of cool, when you read that back in Crisis, and with that amazing George Perez art too,
And I could be wrong, but Wally was the first legacy character to actually take over the mantle.
Absolutely. And the first one to do it for a period of time. Dick took over as Batman for a little while, but Wally was the Flash. He was the Flash for 20 years.
Yeah. Dick was only 2 years, and what else we got? We got Carl Renner. He was Green Lantern.
He was Green Lantern for a while, quite a while. And, Connor Hawke taking over for Green Arrow and things like that. But Wally was the Flash for 20 years, 25 years.
Yeah. We almost thought that Barry was never going to come back, basically.
Well, and this was the thing, though, that Barry was actually a better character as the first saint of DC you know, he was actually so much better character dead than alive, because he was so much bigger than what he was, you know, and he was such a symbol for this. And, you know, his death, you know, drove so many people to do the right thing, that almost bringing him back was almost an anticlimax to you know, that he's so much more powerful, that you know, dying, saving the universe, and everyone remembering him. And you know, and the irony is that no one could ever live up to that if they had to come back. So yeah, I mean, it's always when they brought it back, you know, because Jeff Johns just wanted to reset the board after he did, you know, brought Hal Jordan back, and then he just wanted to bring it all back to the classics. And, you know, I mean, it's one of the things I love about DC is that they evolve their characters. They've got generations. You've got the JSA, you've got the Justice League, you've got the Titans, you've got the Teen Titans. You know, there's 4 or 5 generations of heroes, which Marvel never really had that kind of you know, generational stuff.
And the point when Jeff brought back Barry, at that moment I was just thinking, all right, so when is Marvel gonna bring back Uncle Ben?
Well, there was that whole thing, wasn't there? That well, you know, there was the whole thing that, you know, the only people that were going to stay dead was Bucky and Uncle Ben, and well, suddenly we got the Winter Soldier, really. So, you know, it's but yeah, there not too many characters are staying dead, really. So yeah, but comics is comics, isn't it? Of course.
We've got Alfred dead for 5 years now. The comics, basically.
Oh, is he still dead?
Yeah, he's still dead.
Really? He's back now. Is he not back yet? No.
No, they're teasing it. There's been Mark Waid's teasing a little bit of it, because he's doing that Batman and Superman, but they haven't officially yet.
That Batman and Superman's pretty good, I heard. I haven't been reading it.
Yeah. I think it's Mark Waid and Dan Mora. It's like, I haven't been reading that either, but apparently it's amazing. So
yeah, I need to get onto that, I think.
What titles have you got in your stack, Scott?
What was that, sorry?
What titles have you got in your to read pile?
Oh, okay. Well, I do read a lot of Marvel. You know, I was always an X-Men fan from way back. It's funny, as a kid, there was one issue of Uncanny X-Men that I'd missed, which was X-Men 201. And I didn't have that comic. And every time I went anywhere in Australia, I'd go to comic shops and go through the back issue bins to try and find X-Men 201. And I went to every con to try and buy X-Men 201. And now, of course, you type into eBay X-Men 201, and there's 10 copies there that you could buy. But, you know, that was my white whale for about 15 years. And I eventually got it and was holding it up like Simba in The Lion King, you know, and read it. Because, I mean, obviously that was the first appearance of Cable, of Nathan Summers, or Nathan Christopher Summers, Ascani Daisy, whatever. He's got about 20 names now. But yeah, so I read Justice League and Avengers. I'm a big Captain America fan, obviously. You know, I loved it. I mean, I've got a US agent cosplay coming up with the black suit, because I loved reading. I think it was was it 223, the Captain America No More, where he stepped down as Cap and became the captain, and that's when they got John Walker to take over. That was great.
I'd have to look at my books to know if that's accurate.
Bo, I'm probably talking out of my ass here, mate. But that was so good. I really love that. And actually, I really liked the MCU when they brought in Wyatt Russell as John Walker.
It was awesome.
Yeah. And everyone's like, "Oh, I hate him," and I'm like, "That's the point. That's the point." And he was so good. He was really good.
He was, yeah.
I was just really annoyed that we didn't get Lamar as Battlestar. You know, they killed him off. And I mean, one of the things I love in the comics is that, you know, John Walker has got super strength. He's stronger than Captain America. You know, Captain America's better in every way, but you know, in a fight, you know, John Walker's stronger, and so yeah, Captain America fan, and yeah, I don't know what else is in there. There's a whole lot of bits and pieces in there. So a few X-Men, some Thunderbolts. Yeah, I don't know. There's a bit of a stack, and yeah, I was going to say I probably do a bit less Marvel now. Marvel has not been doing a great job lately. I found some of the titles have been dipping in quality a little bit. You know, the X-Men's kind of been going nowhere for a while. Avengers have been swept up into this huge, big, you know, 1 million BC thing. But you know, Thor has been a bit average lately. You know,
What does it take for you to drop a title?
That's an interesting one. It's like okay, it's like the Flash TV show. It's like an abusive spouse. All right, that every week I turn up wanting it to not abuse me, and it does. All right, but I still keep coming back out of the hope that it's still going to be okay. And you know, I do that with comics for way too long now. You know, you're buying it, and you go. It's like I really like Monica Rambeau. You know, as Photon. I liked her as Captain Marvel back when I read the Avengers, and I really liked her. And they've just brought out a miniseries, Photon. And it's so bad. I mean, the writing is so bad. And I bought the first one and it was okay. The second one was so bad. And I'm like, I'll get the third. It was worse. And then
only 2 more.
I know. That's exactly right. It's like, well, I'll just complete the series. Really? Why? Oh, I don't want to read it. It's going to be very unpleasant if I read it. Yeah, and Sharif, that's a mini series. That's not even a series, right? You know, so sometimes it's like New Mutants. New Mutants is has been very average for quite a while, and I've been wanting to drop it, and you know, then I'll give it one more go, just one more try, you know, because I grew up. If you've never ever read Asgardian Wars for X-Men, you'll be able to get a trade paperback. Amazing, some great Art Adams art in there. Loki's the villain, but in one of it, the New Mutants end up going to Asgard, and they get scattered throughout Asgard. And that's where I fell in love with Sam Guthrie as a character, as Cannonball. Look, just read it and you'll get it. And New Mutants, I really always liked that as well. I always liked Magic as a character. I liked Sam. I like Sunspot. You know, so there's some really cool characters in there as well. So.
Well, when it comes to the cosplaying side of things, I think it takes a bit of guts for what you do, because over the years I've collected so many different bits of things, thinking I'm going to make a costume one day. Right now, I'm looking at a Doctor Doom mask and cloak.
Oh, that would be cool.
Over there, I've got Wolverine claws Sharif gave me. And over there, I've got a Magneto custom-built helmet. And I've got so many things, and I think to myself, yeah, one day I'll go and cosplay. And I just do not ever do it. So I think what you do is, yeah, it's quite applaudable, Scott. And
if you want a Wolverine helmet, I've got a good one. You can have it. I'll pass it over.
Thank you very much.
So absolutely, but I think it's like anything, really. If you're going to do it, you have to commit to doing it.
Yeah.
Right? If you do it half-heartedly, okay. So, Bo, you're a rock star, right? You're an absolute rock star. All right, and you're going to turn up and you're going to wear leather pants, all right, and you're going to paint your face, and you know, if you don't commit to that, you will look like an absolute tool, all right. But if you commit to it, and suddenly you're Kiss, all right, and we're still going to see you like 40 years later, but it's like, you know, cosplay, and I get it. Everyone starts somewhere, and you see the guys at the con who are wearing the suit and they've got the Superman t-shirt underneath, and they've just opened the suit enough that you can see the S, and they've got the glasses on and the hair and the spit curl, and that's them cosplaying. And I get it. Everyone starts somewhere. right? But my advice is, if you're going to cosplay, you just jump in the deep end and you absolute commit, and if you do that, you will have an absolute ball. If you're awkward and timid and apologetic and stuff like that, you just won't have fun. And you go in and you embrace it, and you walk up to people and you ask for photos and you tell them they look amazing, and and you'll have a ball. But yeah, it does. As I said, you got to start somewhere, I guess, and then you kind of build and then just have fun. Really, I mean, the only bit of advice I'd give people is, just pick a character you got some passion for.
Yeah. Good one.
Yeah, I would love, as I said, like to before, I'd love to. I've been searching for a Captain Cold costume, not just for cons. Like, I just want to sit on a couch and have a beer and watch footy with it on.
Oh, by the way, did you see my comic book Captain Cold that I posted at Christmas?
I have. Yeah.
Okay, I'm building
on that.
I'm building the cold gun. That's got an LED in there that will shine, and the blue light and stuff like that. So the cold gun's almost done. So there'll be because Captain Cold is just cool. I mean, we love Len, and I just love the blue collar hero with the code.
I actually really enjoyed this, the new 52 version 1-2. I quite enjoyed this one.
It's a nice design, and also it made it that they were a little bit more of a threat. I mean, you got to go realistically. The rogues would last about 10 seconds against a speedster, really. I mean, but
well, their biggest asset is Mirror Master, because he can do illusions, I guess, to trick Barry or Wally, and that's their best shot. So
yeah, I know. Although I do like Grodd. I like Grodd. I don't see myself ever cosplaying as Grodd. But I've actually got a family rogues cosplay coming up that I'll do my Mirror Master. I've got my wife who's going to do a cross Captain Cold, and my 15-year-old son will be doing a comic book trickster. So,
cool.
So not the James Jesse, what's that? I've just drawn a blank. The current trickster.
The littler one, the littler guy.
It'll come to us, but that's all right. So I've got that coming, and Terry will be there doing his usual Heatwave. And we'll bring in. I've been pushing him to do a comic book Heatwave rather than the CW. I'm like, the CW doesn't exist anymore, mate. It's time to move it across. So
the comic book one wouldn't be that hard to do either.
Of Heatwave.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
basically just like overalls, isn't it?
And goggles, really, and that's in gloves, really. But the gun would take a little bit more. So but yeah, I'm trying to work on a couple of family cosplays, and that always takes a bit of work. It takes a good 5 or 6 months of working on my wife to just get her to say yes. And then I've never given her a cosplay that she didn't immediately look at and go, I am not wearing that. And then we work it through, and we eventually get it to a point. But yeah, so a Rogues cosplay will be pretty fun. So we just have to find a flash. So it's funny. I don't know if you saw my 90s John Wesley Shipp Flash suit.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
John Wesley Shipp likes my photos and occasionally comments.
Oh, cool!
So cool.
Which I thought was so cool the first time I saw it. I went, oh, man, that was, I looked at it and it's like, John Wesley Shipp official or something, and I'm like, is that really? You click it through and you go, oh my goodness, it was. So I thought that was kind of fun. So,
well, I feel like we could be sitting here talking to you for another hour, 2 hours, mate. This hour has gone by very, very quick. But we do have to wrap it up at some point. I am very sorry to say. Grodd, Sharif, is there anything you'd like to ask our new friend before we wrap it up?
I'm afraid we might go another half an hour.
Yeah,
We should, we'll have to catch up at a con and go for a beer afterwards.
Yeah, sounds great. We are
Because
planning to go to Supernova, or is it Comic-Con this in Melbourne first?
Supernova,
Supernova, yeah.
Sweet.
It's funny. There's a when we do Brisbane, there's a pub around the back of the convention centre that we always go to for lunch. And it's funny. My mate, he went to the anime one in Melbourne at the time, so I was just there on my own, and I just went to the pub to just have a beer, and I was going to take a photo and send it to Big George. So I walked into a pub dressed as Booster Gold at lunchtime, and these three guys are looking at me, and I just walked over and went, "So you're Booster Gold fans?" And they went, "Oh my God, I so am." And they end up buying me about 3 or 4 beers, and I'm like, I really have to get back to the con. So we'll go do a beer after the con, I reckon.
Definitely. Thank you so much for joining us.
No worries.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Hit us up on Instagram, AussieVerse_comics, where you can always also find our graphic designer, thumbnail creator, and editor, A51 Designs. And as usual, we are very proudly sponsored by the good old company at Comx. Go check them out. It is one flat postage rate. You can buy 5, 10, 15, 20 comics. It does not matter. You want to go find out where good comic creators, good comic artists, good comic storytellers are. Go check out Comx, and we'll see you back at AussieVerse next week, ladies and gentlemen. Bye.
This show is sponsored by the Comx Shop. Check out comx.cx for all things Comx and find out what Comx is all about. We hope you enjoyed the show.